Hey guys, happy Monday. Roger Casey from Casey Creative here. Anything imprinted, top to bottom, print, promotional products, apparel, labels, packaging, signage, branding, car wraps, safety gear. It's a big new thing we're starting to get into more and more here. Today I wanted to talk about something that I take for granted a lot, but have found recently that not as many people know the difference as I would have thought. And I guess, come to think of it beforehand, I didn't know the difference either. So we're talking apparel. There's screen printing and embroidery are two of the most common methods of imprint that we have. They are very, very different, but most people don't really think of them as being distinctly different because they don't really think about it when they're just wearing clothes. But there is a difference, and I want to talk to you about that today. So in lieu of having a t-shirt with me, what I do have is this. So this is a tote bag, a different State Farm. Thank you very much, Brad Romine. This actually is screen printed. You can see that it's kind of a glossy, flat imprint. It's like what you would see on t-shirts, right? So when you're dealing with items like t-shirts or some hats, sweatshirts, hoodies, or other things where you don't want the imprint to have any texture necessarily, you just want it to lay flat on the actual shirt, it has more of kind of a casual feel. That's when screen printing is best. Screen printing is the same method that you see on most of your standard promo products as well. So things like pens or, goodness, I can't think today. Pens or glasses or other items like that where you've kind of got that flat imprint. It's an ink imprint, but it's not a kind of a textured imprint. It's just more supposed to just lay flat on the product. Now, we draw the distinction between that and embroidery. This is embroidery. Embroidery is what you see on most polos. If you have a polo shirt, unless you're doing something really different and odd, which I don't see a whole lot, polos are generally embroidered. A lot of hats are embroidered. You might even see puff embroidery where it has that kind of a 3D dynamic, or a patch embroidery. Sometimes you see that on a lot of jerseys or scout uniforms. Different places like that. That's threads. So they're actually using an embroidery machine to use, like with them heads, to thread through all of the fabric and to create that textured feel. And it creates more of an elegant kind of classy feel, but it's only reserved for certain pieces. You don't want to be doing it with, you know, your standard t-shirt. It'll be really hot and awkward and uncomfortable to have an embroidered t-shirt, for example. I don't think I've ever seen an embroidered t-shirt. I certainly have never done one. Last thing I'll note with that is that screen printing can be a little bit expensive at times, especially the more colors you do in locations. Screen printing is dependent on color and location because they have to create a screen for each different color. So if you ever get a quote, you know, from me or someone else in terms of screen printing for a t-shirt, and you wonder why it's expensive because your logo has, 10 colors and you want 3 different locations with it, that's why, because multiple screens have to be created and those are not free. Embroidery, on the other hand, can generally be done with a mix of threads. The only time when you tend to get more expensive embroidery costs is when you're talking about matching a thread exactly. So for example, if someone wants Carolina blue, or a very, very distinctive thread, and the decorator, the embroiderer, does not have that in stock, they may have to find that and special order it, which means there may be an additional charge for that. Anyway, bottom line is when it comes to t-shirts, hoodies, some hats, maybe like trucker hats, and other products where you just want the imprint to lay flat, and you don't want to have any texture or additional kind of heat given to it or anything like that, screen printing is your answer. If you want something that maybe has that little more elegant feel, has some texture to it, maybe even has a 3D feel to it, or has a patch, something like that, then embroidery is the way to go. There are other methods to go about it, but I won't get into that here. You can always ask me. Again, Roger Casey with Casey Creative, anything imprinted, and we will work with you and your brand to make it the absolute best. Thank you so much for watching.